I bet Gordon Ramsay has never made a beef Wellington like this. This is meatloaf in a tuxedo, or, as you might have guessed, Meatloaf Wellington. I smothered it in a rich beef gravy, but that'll come later. This is almost like Mom used to make, except since I'm partnering with Beef It's What's for Dinner, I'm giving it a Sasto twist. I started with the usual suspects of ground beef. I like a leaner grind for this, 90-10, which almost mimics the standard filet. I also like a mirepoix of onions, carrots, and garlic. Working smarter, not harder, and throwing all of the big chunks of veg into a food processor. Just don't forget the lube. My favorite pro tip for meatloaf is to make a panade. That's a fancy French term for something moist and binding, mixing together the breadcrumbs, milk, and egg, and setting that all aside for a few minutes to hydrate. Fresh or dried thyme, depending on how fancy you're feeling, and for my secret blend of seasonings, fish, soy, and Worcester sauces all add a punch of umami and flavor. Now I season this to my heart's desire, mixing it thoroughly, and the meatloaf then gets shaped into, well, a loaf and set aside to chill. In that same food processor that we haven't bothered washing yet, chopping up a blend of mushrooms for the duxelle, another fancy French term for finely chopped cooked shroomies. These get cooked down until dry and seasoned with some more aromatics. Spread that onto a tray and set aside to chill. Everyone still with me? Okay, good. This next step is optional. I think Gordon usually skips it, but I'll let him tell me I'm wrong. We're making a basic spinach crepe, technically included in Wellingtons to help sop up any excess moisture and keep the pastry on the outside flaky and crispy. Now, crepes themselves, easy to make. Layer on the prosciutto, crepes, then cooled duxelle, and your chilled loaf of beef. I like using some plastic wrap for this step. That helps you form and wrap this, and then, guess what? We're going back into the box to chill. I think you get the idea here. Once that's resting, you've already defrosted your puff pastry, right? The scary and intimidating part? I'm just kidding. Puff pastry shouldn't be scary or intimidating. We're not making it from scratch. You could buy it pre-made. I'm not crazy. Just make sure you've defrosted it so it doesn't crack. Lay that on your board. A layer of egg wash, a gentle wrap, a tuck and fold, and then you guessed it, back to chill one more time while the oven preheats. Now, I decided to get a little fancy with mine and try this scoring technique. I've never made Wellington before, and oddly enough, the first time I'm making it is with meatloaf and not filet. Anyway, I digress. This scoring step helps the puff evenly, but again, totally optional and completely aesthetic. We're going to bake this until golden brown and delicious. That's GBD for anyone still paying attention. Once rested, we're going to slice it with a sharp serrated blade. We're going to pour on that beef gravy. Whatever gravy you'd like. Heck, I'm not going to call the police if you use a can of gravy. You made Meatloaf Wellington. And you know what? I'm still willing to bet.
That's great.